This is a quick review on how to use the quadratic formula that you learned about last year. We're going to be using these in some upcoming problems on circles. And so I just wanted to quickly review this so that you could complete your worksheet as a practice. So these are two examples. Quadratic formula is listed up on the right. And what it does is it solves for the possible x values that would work in order to get these equal to 0. So that's what you're finding. All right, so on each of these, it helps sometimes, you don't have to do this step, but to actually name what each of the variables are. So for instance, looking at this first one on the left, A is 3, it's just the coefficient, B is 1, and C is -4. Okay, so what you're going to do is put this into the quadratic formula. So we have -b, so this is now -1 plus or minus the square root of b squared. B squared is 1 minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so at this point you get your calculator out. And it's easiest if you just figure out what we call in the math world the discriminant is first. Okay, so we've got -1 plus or minus the square root of something over 6. Okay, so in your calculator, we put that in and we get 49, which is really nice because 49 you can square root and not get a decimal. All right, so this is really -1 plus or minus 7 over 6, which is really 2 answers. Okay, you're always going to get 2 answers on these unless you get 0 for the discriminant. So looking at this, we'll do one at a time. We'll do -1 plus 7 divided by 6, which would be 1. And then we'll do the other one, -1 minus 7, which is -8 over 6, which simplifies to be -4/3. Okay, so those are your 2 answers for this problem. -4/3 and +1. Looking at the next one, we've got 4, -12, and 9 for our variables. So again, we put this into the quadratic formula. -b, well, b is already negative, so 2 negatives cancel out and we end up with +12 plus or minus the square root of b squared. Anytime you square a negative number, negative times a negative, you get a positive. So we put all of our variables in the right spot, just following the formula. Okay, so when we figure out the discriminant, which is what's underneath the radical, here's a situation, like I've mentioned in the last problem, where you do get 0. Okay, so in this situation, you don't get 2 answers, because when you add 0 and subtract 0, it doesn't change anything. So we just get 12 plus or minus 0 over 8, which is just 12 over 8, which simplifies to be a single answer of 3/2. So again, this is just a refresher, it's practice, because we're going to be using this in the next section in chapter 10.